Hello, welcome to my Book Joy. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jack. If you're not new, welcome back. And if you are new, you might not know, but I moved to Devon from London this year 6 months ago. 6 months ago this week I moved to Devon, and we are spending our first year in the countryside in a small village, and I'm documenting as much as possible the gorgeous surroundings and landscape and the changes in that landscape. I'm very much enjoying the change of seasons, and it seems like 5 minutes ago that I did an autumnal reads video and I put in some footage of Dartmoor in autumn. So I'm going to do a similar thing with this. It's the start of December. Today is the 2nd of December, and we've been out to buy our Christmas tree. We woke up this morning to this absolutely beautiful, frozen, magical, wintry wonderland. So this week in the UK, we've suddenly been hit by a massive cold snap, and lots of parts of the UK were below freezing. We were -3 last night, but I think we were one of the warmer parts of the UK. Some parts of the UK have got down to like -9, I think, -10 in Scotland, I believe. So yeah, it's been really cold, and lots of the country's covered in snow. We had snow down here in Devon and Cornwall, parts of it. So yesterday we took a drive to the parts that did get a little bit of snow, and we just got a very minimal covering of snow near us, about 10 miles from where we are in mid-Devon. But where we are, nothing, no snow settled. We just had a little bit of frost. This morning we woke up to this, just the whole world sparkling and stunning and covered in frost, deep frost. So I'm going to intersperse my end of year book tag prompts with some footage of the last couple of days exploring Devon at the start of winter. So the first prompt for the end of the year tag is, are there any books you started that you want to finish? There are a ton of books I've started that I want to finish, and I'm making a concerted effort this weekend to try and finish one of them, and that is Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe. And that's been mentioned in several recent sort of reading rambles that I've done. It's the story of the Sackler dynasty, the Sackler family, who are responsible for the opioid crisis and the sort of opioid epidemic in America, which is just been devastating, absolutely devastating. And it's a really fascinating book, but I keep putting it aside to read other things because I've only got so much reading time in the day. It's not that I'm not enjoying it, and it's not a topic that I don't find fascinating. It's just been had to be pushed aside for one thing or another. So definitely want to finish that. I want to finish some of the library books that I have out, and I've had out for some time. The book on Fans by Michael Bond. There's a book on called Reach for the Stars, which is about 90s pop music, like sort of an oral history of British pop music from 1996 to 2006. And yeah, there's a few things I want to finish like that. I also need to read We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I run the FOMO book club, the Fear of Missing Out book club, with my friends Alice and Gemma, who have amazing channels, and I'll link those in the description box below. If you haven't heard of the FOMO book club, I'll also link a video telling you what our next reads are going to be for the next 12 months. We started our book club back in November last year, so this is a new year in a sense for us, and we read one book every 2 months, and for November and December we're reading Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and we've got another 5 books over the next 12 months that we're reading. So if you're interested, I'll link a video that I announced all of the books we're reading in the description box. We have a Discord server. We did have a Goodreads group. It's still there. I haven't been updating it or running it because no one seemed to be posting in it, so it just seemed to be like no one's really joining it. But if people out there, if you're a FOMO member and you still want to post in Goodreads, let me know and I'll update it. But yeah, it's been so much fun. So I've got to read that before the end of December, and I'm reading Shogun with Gemma from Gemma Books because I bought it for her birthday this time last year, and we promised we'd buddy read it. It's one of my favourite books of all time. It's about the 4th time I've read it, but it's about 15 years since I last read it, and it's the first time she's ever read it. We're not going to finish that by the end of the year, I don't think, because it's 1,000 pages, and we were going to aim for 2 chapters a day, but Gemma, as always, has lots and lots and lots of reading commitments, so we're going to do a chapter a day. That means we won't get it finished until January, but that's fine with me. I'm trying to be a lot kinder with myself around this idea of finishing books, and it suddenly hit me the other day that I don't need to finish all of the books. I need to stop starting books. I do need to finish books at some point, but I was getting really sort of anxious about the amount of books that I've got on the go, and I was like just not picking up anything because I had so many books started and I didn't know where to go. So I've just decided just to stop that and try and tackle one thing at a time outside of my buddy reads. So I've got an ongoing buddy read of Joe Abercrombie with Alice and Gemma. I've got Shogun this month with Gemma. I read Poisonwood Bible with Alice last month, and that was fine because they're books that I'm really, really enjoying, and if they're the only books I read all day, then that's fine too. So yeah, I just need to take it a bit more easy with myself. So anything I need to finish, just apart from Shirley Jackson, I don't need to finish anything, but I'm going to aim to finish some things. That was a big long answer. Well, hopefully the others won't be quite as long and rambly. Have you got a book to transition to the end of the year with? No, not really. Again, I suppose it's down to whether I want to read something seasonal maybe. So I definitely am going to, because I'm going to take part in Remember December. Shogun's a reread for me. Remember December is a rereading readathon. I'm a huge rereader. I love rereading books, and it's being run by Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot and Elizabeth at Bookhans and Books, and I believe someone else, but I can't remember who else, but I'll link everybody in the description box below. But Remember December, they're encouraging us to reread books, and there are many reasons we reread. So in terms of transitioning to the end of the year, I'm going to enjoy a lot of rereading. I'm rereading Shogun. I intend to reread A Christmas Carol. There is a read along being hosted by the people who run the Audrey app. I love this app. If you've not heard of it before, it's an app dedicated to audiobooks, classic audiobooks generally, and it's really one of the most different audiobook experiences I've ever had, and it's beautiful. It's a beautifully aesthetically designed app, and what happens is you have a guide, an expert who guides you through the story. So at the end of every chapter you have a sort of breakdown of the chapter, the characters, you have like this kind of guide from the expert who gives you a sort of social context, political context for what you're reading, and gives you some interesting things to read, articles, links and things like that. So it's really fascinating, and the book is only $3.99. I think their audiobooks, the quality of their narrators, what they give you on top of it, and the price of them, they're just value for money audiobooks you're going to get. And it's a small like UK run independent company, so I'd urge you, if you've not heard of Audrey and you like classics, or you think you'd like to try a classic but you find them a bit intimidating, give Audrey a go. So they're doing a read along of A Christmas Carol in Christmas week, so they're doing one stave. There's like 5 staves I believe in Christmas Carol if I remember correctly, and they're doing a stave a day over the 5 days leading up to Christmas. So I'm going to be doing that. That'll be fun. Is there a new release you're waiting for? No, not really. There was a new release that I was waiting for, which was Temple of Fortuna, which is the 3rd book in Elodie Harper's Wolf Den trilogy, which is set in a brothel in Pompeii. And I absolutely, this time last year, tore through the first 2 books in that series. They are fantastic. If you like historical fiction, if you like strong female characters, if you like Roman history, and yeah, anything like that, you will love those books. So I read the first 2 and then didn't realise the 3rd one wasn't out yet, and I'm really loath to start series that are not all complete published yet, ever since George R.R. Martin and Patrick Rothfuss have let me down over the past 10 to 15 years. So basically but it was coming out it was scheduled to come out in November, and it has come out, and I have it. I just haven't started it, but yeah, I really do want to get to that at some point. But that was the only new release I was waiting for. There was a brilliant video by Katie at Books and Things, Katie Lumsden. She just released where she read a load of proof copies she's been sent to read that are books coming out next year, and they look amazing. There's some really good books in there, which I'll link in the description box below, but nothing published that's coming out this year. Like everything that's coming out of note is out by now, right? Because it's Christmas now coming up, so all the big book releases are out. Brittany I was waiting for, read that, loved it. I've got a review of it, but at this stage I still haven't published the review, but it was coming out at some point this week, hopefully. Number 4, what are the 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? That I definitely want to read before the end of the year. Well, apart from We Have Always Lived in the Castle and A Christmas Carol, not really anything else. Usually I do like to reread The Hogfather, Terry Pratchett's book Hogfather, which is the Discworld closest thing to a Christmas book really. It's about Hogswatch, which is the midwinter festival on the disc. So I love Hogfather. It's one of my favourite Discworld books, and yeah, so possibly that. There's nothing I'm desperate to get to. I thought about a few things though, and I like to try and do some nice easy reading short books before the end of the year to just enjoy, you know, the sort of books you can read in an afternoon. So I like doing that over the Christmas holidays, and so I have picked out for that Heartstopper Volume 4, because I still haven't finished Heartstopper, so Volume 4 of Heartstopper. The Days at the Morizaki Bookshop, which I bought back in August at the BookTube meetup, which is a book I had on my list to get, and then loads of people at BookTubers got it and have probably since read it, and I haven't, and it's very short. So yeah, it's, you know, Japanese translated fiction about a bookshop and a cat on the cover as well as bookshop. It's got to be read, right? And then the other thing I'd love to sit and devour, it'd probably take me a couple of days though because it's a bit thicker, is The Good, the Bad and the Furry by Tom Cox, which was sent to me for my birthday by the lovely Alice. And this is, Tom Cox is a local writer here in Devon, so this would fit in with my Southwest Stories project, which is a project I'm running where I kind of try and read books either set in the Southwest or by authors from the Southwest. And yeah, so Tom Cox would fit in with that. I've got a couple of Tom Cox books to read actually, but this one Alice sent me, and it's about his cats. So of course I love a cat. So as you mentioned when I mentioned the cat on the cover. So yeah, I might like to sit down and read this at some point. The other book that I'm kind of interested and really would like to get to is this beautiful book here, which is The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick. It was a Caldecott Medal winner, and it's a children's book, but pretty hefty tome. But the reason it's so hefty, I don't think it takes me a huge amount of time to read, is because it's an unusually structured book. So I'm just going to read the blurb to you because I don't think I can explain it very well. Orphan, clockkeeper and thief, Hugo lives in the walls of a busy Paris train station where his survival depends on secrets and anonymity. But when his world suddenly interlocks like the gears of the clocks he keeps with an eccentric, bookish girl and a bitter old man who runs a toy booth in the train station, Hugo's undercover life and his most precious secret are put in jeopardy. A cryptic drawing, a treasured notebook, a stolen key, a mechanical man and a hidden message from Hugo's dead father form the backbone of this intricate, tender and spellbinding mystery. With 284 pages of original drawings and combining elements of picture book, graphic novel and film, Brian Selznick breaks open the novel form to create an entirely new reading experience. Here is a stunning cinematic tour de force from a boldly innovative storyteller, artist and bookmaker. Doesn't that sound amazing? This is some of the things inside and it just looks stunning. So I don't think it'll take me long to read because some pages are like this, and lots of original drawings, and it's just beautiful. And my lovely brother sent this to me after I said I hadn't read it because he was, oh, have you read this book? Because he thinks I've read everything. And he'd watched the film, which is adapted by, I'm pretty sure, I want to say Martin Scorsese, which sounds really bizarre, but is one of my brother's favourite directors and a really surprising director that directed this film, and I want to say Scorsese. I'm going to look it up, and if I'm wrong, I'll put a correction on the screen here. But yeah, so he sent me this, and I did say to him if he gets a copy for himself, we could buddy read it, because I've never buddy read with him before. So yeah, I'd like to get to this as well. Number 5, is there a book that could shock you and become your favourite book of the year? Of course, always. Any book could become my favourite book of the year. So far, I'm not quite sure. I need to sit down and work out my favourites so far this year and what I've read. I've enjoyed so many books this year. Every year on BookTube, my reading just goes up another level because I'm reading far less books that are average. In fact, I don't think I've read any that I would call very average at all this year. So that's amazing, isn't it? But yeah, anything could shock me and be my favourite of the year. Number 6, have you already started making plans for next year? Yes, I have. I have started making plans for next year, mainly to cut back on the number of reading commitments that I seem to make, but I've already got quite a few in place. However, I'll tell you what some of the things I'm planning. Obviously, FOMO is going to carry on. My FOMO book club reading is going to carry on. I've got a lovely fantasy book group that I read with, which is me and Gemma from Gem of Books, Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot, and Dia from Novel Idea, and we're going to carry on reading some fantasy books next year. So we're starting in January with Janny Wirt's book. I've never read any Janny Wirt's, like a brilliant 90s female fantasy author, Janny Wirt's. So we're going to read a Janny Wirt's book. I'm going to be reading season 8 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer with my lovely friend Alice. So I have 2 volumes of season 8 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like this, which I've read this first volume once. I haven't read the second volume. I've got the first volume and the second volume of these, and she's also got them. So we're going to buddy read season 8 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer over however long it takes us. They're graphic novels, so I'm assuming we'll be able to do that like maybe one a week or something, one part a week or something like that. I don't know when we're starting it because I need to plan out some other things. I'm going to be hopefully running Picture This again, my picture book readathon, because that's always wonderful. I'm going to carry on with my Southwest Stories project, but I'm going to be much more intentional about it next year because I've got a list of books set in the Southwest or by authors from the Southwest that I want to read. Books like Lorna Doone, which I've got a copy of and I was going to read for Victober and I didn't. Books like Westward Ho by Charles Kingsley, which is set well, basically the town of Westward Ho, which is up in the north coast of Devon, was named after that book by the Victorians. There's more Tom Cox books I want to read, some Agatha Christie. I've got the rest of the Susan Cooper Dark is Rising sequence to read. So lots and lots of books that are set in and around the southwest Devon and Cornwall, or by authors from Devon and Cornwall. So yeah, tons of plans for reading next year in terms of my own reading. But I really want to step back from overcommitting myself to tons and tons of group and buddy reads, because it became a bit overwhelming a bit this year. But this year has been a really busy year for me personally, professionally, personally. I've moved home. I moved a few hundred miles away from where I'm from. I've never lived out of London before. My family are there. That was quite stressful. I've had a very sick parent, so that was very, very stressful, and that all happened around the time I was leaving London and leaving them. So I've been back and forth to London a lot. I've had to find more work and I've had to do all sorts of things, and it's just been a lot. And so what I tend to do when things become a bit overwhelming is I start to just sort of back off with social media, and even just watching BookTube can become stressful for me. So I've been working my way back into slowly watching, making videos, but I'm just trying to be kind to myself because I don't want to be overwhelmed, and I want this to be fun. So I'm just taking the fun parts and doing that, and hopefully I've been able to put out a video a week. I don't think I've missed a week since the summer actually, which is good, but it's been a lot this year, and I'm just kind of sitting here reflecting on all of it. And while it's been amazing in so many ways, it's been a very, very exhausting year, and it's been very stressful in lots of ways. So next year I should have more headspace to take part in all of the things, but this year I felt I committed to the things, and then I just didn't have the headspace and I got a bit overwhelmed. But we've got to be kind to ourselves, right? And another thing I want to do is I want to do far more sort of vlogging outdoors. We've got an action cam, so some of the footage from today's video is from that. And yeah, we just, every weekend we go out and we explore a part of Devon, and we love it. That's my end of the year tag. So tell me, have you got any end of year plans? What are your plans for next year? I'm going to do more on my plans for next year. I might do an actual video when I sit and think, because this weekend is my plan is to sit down with my book journal and think about what I want to do, what I've committed to already, and possible new things for the new year. So yeah, have you got any plans for the new year? Have you got any books you want to finish by the end of the year? Let's talk about that then. If you've got a book you want to finish by the end of the year, pop that in the comments. If you don't know what to say, maybe pop a wintry emoji in the comments, and hopefully, if you've never been here before, maybe you'll subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again here soon. Bye!